This year I've been doing some real-life trophy hunting, which is part of the reason why I haven't posted a video in almost a year. Despite this, I still played quite a few games and even tinkered with some gaming-related hardware. If you watched my previous video and subscribed, thank you for sticking around. And if you're new here, my name is Adrian, and on this channel I make videos about a variety of gaming-related topics, like this one, where I'm downsizing my physical PS3 collection. Right now, all these boxes are cluttering my home office, which doubles down as my small gaming corner. So the idea is simple. I'll share some quick thoughts about 10 more games I finished back in the day and decide which ones to keep and which ones to sell to fund new gaming purchases. Let's get into it. Singularity is a first-person shooter that blends traditional gunplay with special powers, similar to games like Bioshock, Wolfenstein, or even Bulletstorm. And honestly, while I enjoy classic military shooters, throwing powers into the mix is always more fun. You play as Captain Nathaniel Ranko, an American soldier who crash lands on a mysterious Soviet island where a failed experiment has distorted time itself. Early on, you get your hands on the time manipulation device, a gadget that lets you age or reverse objects and enemies in real time. You'll also get access to weapons like pistols, rifles, or shotguns, but I have to say my personal favorite is this slow-motion rifle that fires explosive bullets. The art direction has a gritty, cold era vibe to it, and the story has some interesting implications. It's a tight, memorable experience that I enjoyed back then and would still recommend today. Vanquish is a third-person shooter that seems to be built with one simple goal: to deliver pure fun while making you feel like an absolute badass. And honestly, I think it nails it. Even years later, it's still an incredibly satisfying experience. You play as Sam Gideon, a DARPA agent fighting off rogue Russian forces on a space station armed with a deadly solar weapon. You have this sleek power suit that lets you slide across the battlefield at rocket speed, dodging bullets left and right while taking down waves of robots. The gameplay revolves around momentum, having you constantly boosting, shooting, or slowing down time to execute ridiculous stunts. The game looks great and has a cool futuristic military aesthetic. The story is cheesy and over the top, but in the best possible way. If you somehow missed this one, I would definitely recommend it, and I think there's also a remastered version. Prince of Persia is a soft reboot of the classic series that exchanges the darker tone of the original trilogy for a more colorful and emotional approach. While many fans didn't connect with this direction, it definitely captured my attention. You play as a wandering adventurer who encounters Elika, a princess attempting to seal away Ahriman, an ancient god of darkness. You know, that old chestnut. Together you travel across vast landscapes to cleanse corruption from the land through graceful acrobatics and light puzzle solving. The platforming feels fluid and rhythmic, almost like a dance, with Elika's magic maintaining the flow even when you make mistakes. The cel-shaded art style makes every area look like a living illustration. It's a memorable adventure that feels timeless, both visually and in its themes of hope and renewal. I really enjoyed it back then, and I still do today. Prototype 2 is an open-world action game that transforms the city into your destructible playground. You can leap over skyscrapers, smash through vehicles, and consume enemies to steal their powers. Think of the Hulk, but with claws. You play as James Heller, a soldier infected with a deadly virus who seeks revenge against the man who destroyed his family. As you progress, you upgrade your abilities and transform your body in increasingly devastating ways. The gameplay shines when you combine powers for massive combos, throw cars or tanks at enemies, and navigate the city with speed and agility. While the world is rendered in drab shades of brown and grey, and the story is somewhat forgettable, the game delivers chaotic, brutal fun at its finest. Sometimes, after a day of tedious meetings at work, that's exactly what you need. Bulletstorm is a first-person shooter that rewards you for killing enemies in the most creative ways possible. The game revolves around chaining together skill shots to earn points, which serve as currency for upgrading your weapons arsenal. You play as Grayson Hunt, a mercenary who crash lands on a hostile planet while pursuing his former commander. Throughout your journey, you use environmental hazards, kicks, and explosives to execute outrageous combos. The combat feels fast, inventive, and constantly satisfying. The levels feature vibrant, exaggerated environments, from alien jungles to crashed ships and massive sci-fi structures. While the story is deliberately over the top and the humor somewhat juvenile, these elements perfectly complement the game's chaotic energy. It's pure ridiculous fun from start to finish, making it one of my favorites from that generation. Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine is a third-person action game that seamlessly blends ranged combat with brutal melee fighting as you battle through waves of enemies. This game served as my introduction to the Warhammer universe back in 2013. You play as Captain Titus, voiced by Mark Strong, a space marine deployed to defend Forge World Gaia, a weapons manufacturing planet overrun by orcs. The gameplay centers on making you feel like an unstoppable warrior. You can pick off enemies from the distance with your guns, then charge into battle to slice through them with your chainsword. The combat feels intense and satisfying as you master the timing, positioning, and weapon combinations needed for each encounter. The game perfectly captures the gothic aesthetic of the Warhammer universe with its massive industrial fortresses and cathedral-like architecture. It also delivers on the power fantasy of being a space marine. It was one of my most surprising discoveries when I first played it, and I still highly recommend it.
I need healing.
Not enough power.
The Lord of the Rings War in the North is an action RPG set in Middle-earth's northern regions. It follows three adventurers on a quest that runs parallel to the main story from the novels and films. You can play as one of three heroes, a ranger, a dwarf, or an elf, each with unique skills and combat styles. Revisiting it now, the gameplay feels repetitive. While it's unfair to compare it with Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War, those games have spoiled me, making War in the North seem basic and far less appealing. The visuals disappoint as well, with many levels appearing excessively dark and unattractive. It was a struggle. If you're looking for a single-player experience in Middle-earth, you're better off playing Shadow of Mordor instead. Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning is a fantasy RPG with fast-paced combat that lets you combine weapons, magic, and special abilities. What impressed me most was how it plays more like an action game than a traditional RPG. You play as the Faithless One, a resurrected warrior with the power to rewrite destiny. You explore a vast, colorful world filled with factions and quests while uncovering the mystery of your identity. The game allows you to create a unique character by combining skills and abilities from different classes, enabling experimentation with diverse playstyles, a feature you don't see in most RPGs. The world brims with vibrant environments, including lush forests, mystical ruins, and colorful towns. The soundtrack is excellent, and the character design stands out as well. While the story is merely adequate, I believe the remaster is worth trying if you're seeking a fun, action-focused RPG. Spec Ops: The Line is a third-person military shooter that begins as a standard rescue mission, but evolves into a dark, morally complex narrative. You navigate through Dubai, a city devastated by sandstorms, where the harsh environment creates tension and unpredictability alongside enemy encounters. You play as Captain Martin Walker, who leads a small squad into the ruined city to locate a missing unit. Throughout your journey, you face intense gunfights, confront difficult moral choices, and traverse a world where distinguishing between right and wrong becomes increasingly difficult. While the combat mechanics aren't revolutionary, they're solid and serve the narrative perfectly. The setting provides a striking backdrop: buried skyscrapers, scorching heat, and opulent luxury decaying into ruin. This creates an atmosphere both surreal and haunting. Often cited as one of the most thought-provoking shooters of its generation, it's definitely worth experiencing if you can track down a physical copy. Red Faction Guerrilla is an open-world action game built around destruction, giving you the tools to demolish buildings at will. With explosives, vehicles, and your trusty sledgehammer, you topple structures and liberate territory while the world dynamically responds to your actions. You play as Alec Mason, a miner-turned-rebel who leads an uprising against EDF, a brutal corporation controlling Mars. Missions involve destroying enemy facilities, defending locations, rescuing hostages, and delivering vehicles. You earn salvage as rewards, which serves as currency for upgrading your gear. The dusty Martian landscapes and worn-down colonies provide a perfect backdrop for this destruction sandbox. Planting explosives at the base of a massive concrete and steel tower and watching it crumble to the ground never gets old. If any of that sounds appealing, you should definitely check out the remastered version. Surprisingly, despite its shortcomings, the only game from this list I'm keeping for now is The Lord of the Rings War in the North. I've never tried the couch co-op, and I would like to play it with my son. As for the other games, I own them on Steam, so I'll probably sell them and use that money elsewhere. Looking ahead, I still have one final batch of 10 PS3 games I want to cover, but I also have several ideas that would be fun to script, record, and edit, so I'm curious about what you'd like to see next. Cover indie games from my backlog that perfectly work on the Steam Deck, or maybe my retro card that I built with a CRT, a Wii, and a PS2. Or perhaps my nostalgic journey rebuilding two vintage 90s PC to play DOS games. Let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to make it happen. Creating these videos brings me genuine joy, so if watching them brings you joy as well, consider liking and subscribing. Thank you for watching.